Good morning, everyone. It's April the 20th, 2024. Today, as you can see, I've got an interesting title, and I want to explain that about adventure. Living in this area where you have so many drug dealings and drug addicts and all the shelters and all the problems along with it that come into our buildings and that, as I've showed you over time. Every time you walk out of your apartment, it seems that there's you find yourself into some kind of an interesting adventure. Well, I like to tell you about one of those little interesting adventures the other day that I walked into. I had to go to the grocery store in the morning, and it was around, about 10 to 11. Just wanted to pick up a few things for lunch. And going down the stairwell, I don't believe this could have been a homeless man, I wasn't sure, but it very well probably was. But I ran into people in the hallway and the stairwell, pardon me, and two of our maintenance people were talking to these other two guys that were in the stairwell, and there was this guy totally passed out as well in the stairwell, and he was kind of blocking going down the stairs. So they're talking to him, and so I was kind of stuck there, so I was listening, and they were trying to figure out who this person was and what they were going to do with him, and there was no way that they could keep him there, and it was quite clear from our maintenance personnel that for our building that if the young gentleman, one of the young gentlemen said, well, this is my uncle, that's what he tried to say, who was passed out on the floor, and our maintenance said, well, if you don't do something, I'll have to call security. And then, of course, I piped up and said, do you want me to call security? Because I had my phone on me. So we were discussing that. And then he said, oh, no, this is my uncle. And I said, well, okay, which apartment are you from? And then he gave me the number of the apartment. Well, the number of the apartment was again, an apartment that from time after time and off and on keeps all the other adjoining apartments, we could all hear the fighting that goes on in this apartment. And this is an apartment where they come in and drink through the night and start getting very angry, and we've all heard it and wakened up for it. And somebody, I guess the guy that rents the apartment, screaming, get out, get out, get out of my apartment, get out of my house. And he screams so loud, and it sounds like sometimes they're banging on the walls, sometimes it sounds like they're banging on a pipe. And, of course, Housing's tried to do whatever they could to slow it down. But this particular day, it was very interesting. And I'm looking at the young man wondering, okay, So I looked at him and I said, oh, this apartment, our problem apartment. And he looks at me, and I just looked him straight in the eye. And I said, yeah, where they're always causing trouble. They're all up fighting all night, waking all the residents, because it's not just me. Everybody else in the immediate area through the apartments can hear this fighting. So he said, well, no, I'm going to take him back upstairs. So I'm going to try and carry him upstairs. So the first attempt was they tried to lift him up. And, of course, he was this person who was passed out. This man was definitely more like a super real rag doll. So he tried to pick him up, and he almost dropped him, and I said, oh, no, don't let him go down the stairwell head first, because he switched him around and turned him around, and he was going to go head first down the stairs. So he stopped him, and then finally the two maintenance guys had to do whatever they had to do, so they left. And the other guy that was in the stairwell with this young man, the two of them were starting to pick him up and and were carrying him and dragging him up the stairwell, because they had to go up a floor to get to this apartment. So I'm sort of in their way. So I said, well, just when they got up to the landing, I said, okay, just give me enough room. You can take them up after the rest of the way, and I'll just get out of your road. So I did. I had to go to the garbage bin at the time. I had a couple of bags to throw out in the garbage before I went to the grocery store. And, of course, they shout up at these apartments and wake us up in the middle of the night. And so I'm looking below where the apartment is, and there's this ball cap on the ground, and it's quite colorful, this particular one. Nobody was wearing it. It was just lying on the ground, so I left it, went to the bin, threw my stuff in. I thought, okay, that's interesting. There's an almost brand new walker in the bin. So Okay, left it. I don't know what happened there, and I wasn't really thinking, so I went off to the store. And about half an hour later, I came back and then really started questioning because this young man who was supposedly taking his uncle up to this apartment, and I assumed that he was probably going to take him into the apartment. Anyhow, he was driving out the laneway. He was in the passenger of this car, wearing this ball cap that I'd seen on the ground, and they just drove off. I don't know who was driving. In the driver's seat, I could only see the passenger side, and I recognized him very quickly. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange. I was only gone for half an hour to the grocery store, so I took my groceries upstairs and I kind of just dropped them there, and then I went back down. I said, I'm going to check just to see what's going on. And so I went back down, and sure enough, all they did was they just dumped him right in front of that apartment. So he was just passed out on the floor. And I thought, oh, there's something really, really not right here. I mean, if this guy's your uncle, why are you just turning around and leaving him in front of a door? He'd be knocking on the door trying to see that he got into the apartment. So I went back and I said, that's it. I had to call security. So I called security. And of course, it took them a little while to come. So I went down a couple of times, back and forth to check just to make sure he was okay and he was still breathing. He was. So, of course, security knocks on my door a little while later and asked me the story and what happened. So I told them what had happened. And they said, well, it was a good thing that you had done what you did because we had to call the paramedics. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, because I wasn't sure because he was passed out for so long and so hard. I'm thinking, yes, he's drinking because this is a apartment that we know where there's drinking going on, and we just kind of assume it's drinking. But for all I know, and this is one of the things I was thinking about, was maybe he took a pill as well as drinking with the alcohol. So this is one of the reasons I called security right away, and they were glad that I did. And they said, and of course, being a security guard, this is all the type of stuff that I would have done years ago. And my instinct just kicked in and said, I have to call security. And of course, people don't want to call security and bother the 911 operators, and they don't want to bother the police if it's nothing really, or ambulance or a fire department. So it makes sense. But there's an old story about, it's better to be safe than sorry. And if you're not sure about something, it's better, you don't want to bother people, but if you're not sure, it's better to do something than not do something. So at that point, the best people I could call was the security, so I did. So I just wanted to give you a little update on some of the things that we're dealing with down here again, and how adventurous that things can get in the area here. So, and it's just starting too. We're just into spring, so we'll see how far the adventures go this spring, summer, and fall. So everyone, have a great day. Be safe. Watch your surroundings, and we'll talk again soon. And bye-bye. Take care.